Hello again, groovy guys and gals. This is Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair, and today I'm going to get a little bit more detailed about my special full Delco system conversion. This is a radio and 8-track that came out of a Buick car, and it's the radio has had a modern conversion. It was already AM/FM, but I've done a modern conversion on it to greatly increase the output power, and I've also done my special modification to the 8-track unit to make it sound best with the converted radio. And so we're just going to turn this stuff around so I can show you the changes that I make to this system. It does make it a little bit easier to understand the signal flow. Both are okay. We've got our wiring harness to replace the original receptacle. This is a 12-wire harness. It's got hot, ground, power antenna wires, dial lighting, and then 8 speaker wires to hook up to 4 speakers to using the fully isolated speaker configuration, using no grounded speaker wires and no shared speaker wires. That's how we get the maximum output power from the conversion. And on closer scrutiny, we can see that I've installed these are our line input jacks for the radio, and then we have matching jacks on the 8-track, which you probably can't see very well. We'll just kind of lift this up a bit so you can see the matching jacks there. And then there's a third RCA jack. This is basically a control signal. When you insert a tape, this signal sends 12 volts to the converted radio, which forces the unit to switch over to aux mode. Now this third cable is not necessary, and I'll demonstrate the difference between using the cable and not using the cable. Basically, the aux input function on the radio can be made to either switch over manually or by sensing a signal present at the aux terminals. And by using the signal sensing feature, it's very convenient. It keeps you from having to switch, but when the aux signal is removed, it takes about 20 seconds for the radio to come back, and that's because of a circuit called a VOX circuit, voice operated switch, that is designed to hold on to the signal for a little bit longer than it really needs to, and this keeps the radio from constantly switching back and forth between quiet music passages in between songs. So first I'm going to hook these two units together without the forced switching, and we'll see the effect that it has on the system. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug in our RCA cables, and as I mentioned before, I'm only going to plug the signal cables in right now, and then after we demonstrate that, then we will demonstrate the forced switching mode, which causes the unit to react a little bit faster. So we're just going to plug this stuff in here. It's a very simple hookup scheme, and then this plugs into the harness that you've already wired under your car dash. This is the receptacle for the USB, and this system also has had Bluetooth installed. So let's turn this stuff around so that we can connect our main wiring harness from the radio. Not only is it easy to hook up, it's much easier to understand the signal flow after I've done the conversion, because the radio connects directly to the speakers, and then the tape deck simply connects to the radio using its aux input. Okay, so this is our main wiring harness here, coming out, and I'm just going to plug it into the harness I already have wired to my bench speakers. Save a little time there. Okay, we're going to turn our power supply on. Everything should be hooked up except our antennas. So get our antenna plugged in, and here we go. We're going to first we're going to listen to the FM. I believe I have it set to FM. Yes, this radio does have an existing AM/FM switch, so there's no need to turn the unit off and then right back on to switch bands. So let's just turn this thing on. And I have all 5 push buttons preset to FM stations, so we'll just test that real quick.
Be careful of fireballs.
Okay, and then I'm going to turn this light off for the moment so we can test the dial light. Make sure the dial light works. There we go. Got our dial light blinking on and off in response to my command. Alrighty, let's switch it to AM just to make sure it still works on AM. And we get one good station about 11. Well, there's one good one there. And we get another good one about 11:30.
Look for.
Okay, so there's our strong station.
Children.
We'll switch back to FM. Go back to an FM station there. And while we're doing this, let's go ahead and test the USB function. There's our USB receptacle, and I've already got some of my songs, my own songs, on a USB stick, and it should immediately switch over to the USB when I plug this stick in. Okay, there's one of my songs. And we can see the blinking USB stick indicating that it's transferring data. Okay, we're going to unplug the stick. The radio should come back right on immediately. There's the radio back. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and test it. You know what, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and test the Bluetooth feature. I'm not going to go to all the time and trouble of hooking up, of pairing a device with it, because I want to leave this system clean for the customer. But we're just going to activate the Bluetooth function and make sure that a sweet female voice comes on and says, ready to pair. So here we go.
Ready to pair.
Okay, there's that sweet female voice saying that it's ready to pair. So the radio is now trying to pair with my Bluetooth device, which since I don't have a device ready to pair with it, it's not going to do that, of course. And before we test the line input differences, let's go ahead and switch to our output level meters so that we can test the virtual balance and control functions. There's the output level meters. Let's bring our unit back into the left-hand corner here if we can find it. There's our unit. Alrighty, and we're going to activate the virtual balance and fader functions. Now, this is the radio's original fader control on the right. I prefer not to use this fader control because these are self-destructive by design, and about half of them no longer work, and they are virtually impossible to find as new parts. So instead, the conversion has a really cool feature where you can use the tone control as a temporary fader control and as a temporary balance control. Since this was originally a mono radio, it is now a stereo radio, so we need a way to shift the balance from left to right and from front to rear. So I'm going to activate the first I'm going to activate the virtual balance control. We do that by rotating first I'm going to turn my tone control to about midpoint so that we've got room to rotate it in either direction, and we're going to activate the virtual balance control by rotating it twice to the left, each time returning it to center. So let's go ahead and activate that right now. Let's turn this up a little bit more so you can see the effect.
Sorry, not completed.
Okay, that was the timeout signal for the Bluetooth saying that pairing was not completed. So now we're going to activate our virtual balance control by turning the tone control twice to the left. Here we go. Okay, there's our 4 beeps, letting us know that this tone control is now adjusting the left-right balance. Right only, left only, right only. Okay, back to center. I'm going to stop adjusting it so it times out. And there's our 1 beep indicating that the function is timed out, and this tone control is now adjusting the tone again. You can see that it's going from bass to treble. Okay, now we're going to activate the virtual front-rear fader. Same procedure, except we rotate the tone control twice to the right. So here we go. There's our 4 beeps indicating that now we're adjusting our front-rear fading action. Okay, I'm going to stop adjusting it. It's pretty well balanced now. And there's our 1 beep letting us know that that function is timed out and that this control is now adjusting the tone again. Now that is one pretty cool feature, I think. Okay, and now we're going to talk about what I originally was talking about when we first started this video about the 8-track function.
Friday FGL concerts.
And at this time, we do not have the forced switching. So now when you insert a tape, it will immediately switch over to the tape, but you'll see when we remove the tape, it's going to be complete silence for 20 seconds before the radio comes back because of that Vox circuit that we talked about earlier. So let's go ahead and plug a tape in here. And as you can see, my own special hand-built tape preamp is much brighter sounding than the original. And on this tape, we might actually want to turn our tone control down a bit to cut back some of that treble. And I guarantee you, you have never ever heard this much treble out of an 8-track player. This is something that everybody needs more out of their 8-track, is more treble. And not to mention that the 8-track has quite a bit more output to boot, and you might even want to turn your volume control down when you insert a tape. So let's go ahead and we're at the end of a song now. Let's see if we're either between tracks. Okay, we just went to the next song. Let's go ahead and see just how much treble. And keep in mind that I can actually get a lot more treble out of this 8-track. But let's see how much. Oh, well, okay, now we're ending this song. Let's try another song. There's not much activity on that one. Or that one. There's not a lot of activity on these songs that are playing right now, so we may just want to go ahead and... Okay, let's just see. That's at maximum treble on the radio setting. And one thing I haven't mentioned, that after I do my conversion on the 8-track, these controls are now just for decoration. They no longer do anything. The only control that still remains functional on the 8-track is the track change knob, or track change button.
Problem is I don't know a dream. Hurry, take me to the garden.
Now you can see how much brighter that's just a really sweet, bright sounding 8-track. Okay, now we're going to pull the tape out, and you'll see how the radio waits 20 seconds to come back. I'm going to pull the tape out. Okay, now we have absolute silence. It's really important to let that silence go by without turning the volume up to see if anything's working, because when the radio does come back, it's going to blow your doors off. So we're just going to let that thing time out. It'll be 20 seconds, and then I'll plug in the forced switching mode, and we'll see that the radio comes back immediately. Okay, there's our radio back.
I've just had enough.
Okay, so now I'm going to plug in that third connector that we were talking about before.
It is a violation. Oh, good. That all you need.
And this will cause the radio to force
happening
into
continues to serenade.
the 8-track mode.
Snowflake, go ahead. Yeah. You know, my son decides.
Okay, now I have that third RCA jack connected, and we're going to see. And now that we've proven that all the meters and everything, that all the channels are working, we can switch back to our regular view of the unit.
With it.
Yeah, by the way,
That's me. That's not the unit. Let's try this again. There we are. Alrighty. Now we're going to put our 8-track in, and when we pull it out, now the radio will come back immediately. Okay, there's our 8-track, and you can see how much more treble the 8-track has than the radio. That's just an insane amount of treble. So we might even want to back our... Now that sounds more like we're used to hearing an 8-track sound with a kind of a nice warm sound, but we can kick up the treble and get some really sweet treble sound out of it. Okay, now we're going to pull the tape out, and this time the radio will come back immediately.
I left all of this for him.
And there's our radio back. Alrighty, so we have demonstrated the radio works perfectly on both AM and FM. We've demonstrated that all 4 speakers are working. The virtual balance and fader functions are working. The manual tuning is doing just fine.
Collision. Everyone, I've called this press conference.
We've demonstrated that the dial light is working. We've demonstrated that the 8-track works on both signal sensing and forced switching. We've tried the Bluetooth, USB, and all that cool stuff. The only thing that we have not done yet is test the line input, and I'm not going to bother with that, but I will say that after using the line input with this particular system, there will be that 20-second delay before the radio comes back, because this does depend strictly on the signal sensing mechanism in the radio. In order to do forced switching, we would have had to add a switch to the front of the radio, which most people don't want. So we're not going to go into all that. I have confirmed that it works and all that. So now we'll turn everything off, and now that we know that everything is working perfectly, the unit, the system is ready to ship back to the customer, and we'll see if we can find me. This is Barry with Barry's 8-track and classic car radio repair, demonstrating that I'm the only shop in the world that performs this level of conversion on a separate radio and 8-track system in a Delco in a Delco-equipped car, that is. You can reach me directly if you have an 8-track that's in need of service or a classic car AM radio that you would like to add FM to with the additional possibilities of Bluetooth and USB. You can reach me directly at 928-533-9666. My website is in the description. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.
Having fun, driving my classic ride. Got a Mustang, buddy, it's a 69, but she ain't sounding so fine. Driving this car, I can't hear the guitar, and all my tapes run slow too. Radio smoking, 8-track deck's broken. What can I do? Send it to 8-track repair center. 8-track repair center. 8-track repair center.com.